Hey guys, Kakarot197 again. This time with a review of the high-grade Universal Century Zssa Unicorn version from the Gundam Unicorn series. And the thing that I love the most about this machine is its really down-to-earth military color scheme, especially when you compare it to the bright yellow colors of the original Zssa. And combined with its stocky utilitarian look, this really feels like the mobile suit equivalent of a missile launcher truck. I also can't shake the feeling that this would be right at home in the Iron-Blooded Orphans universe. But while it definitely looks presentable straight out of the box, if you have a closer look, you'll quickly realize that quite a bit of painting is still required. For stickers, we get the usual mono eye sticker and a black one for underneath. Then we get one sticker for each of the sleeves, red ones for inside all of these holes, which do look pretty good, unlike the ones for these missiles. And just to make them that little bit extra worse, the three circles are printed together. And then there's three more red stickers for the missiles on each arm. Still not great, but less bad. Moving right along, we get a dark green sticker here, and then some light green ones here, and there. And then the final one is a shiny metallic sticker for on the tail fin. And now get your paint ready. For all of those red circle stickers that I just talked about, you also have to paint the sides of the holes that they're in, including the insides of all of the thrusters, and these in particular will also need a bit of white. Then it's the same story with these vents, gray for the grills, red for the inside, and light green for the outside. And finally, if you want to be super color accurate, you'll also need gray for these details and the insides of the missile launchers. And I almost forgot that his toes also have to be painted gray. So while it's not horrible, it's not particularly great either. Seam lines then depend on where you're looking. The Zssa itself has like no seam lines, but the booster pod does suffer from the occasional two halves slapped together line. And this averageness pretty much continues when we have a look at the accessories. Starting off with the weapons that are already on the machine, we get Vulcan guns on the collar, and then we get a lot of missiles. The visible ones are these 4 missile pods on top, and also these 6 ones on the hands. Opening up the chest will reveal 6 more missiles, sliding open the upper legs will reveal 12 more missiles, and then opening up the lower legs will reveal an additional 20 missiles, for a grand total of a lot. And then if you need some more firepower, we also get a B machine gun. It has a peg on this side to slot into the dedicated trigger finger hand, so it's really securely in there. And it also has a removable magazine. When it comes to painting though, I'm not entirely sure what you should do with it, because looking at the box art, the machine gun looks more grayish, but then when you look at the line art, it looks more greenish like this one is. What you will have to do though is pink for the sensor. And then the final weapon that we're getting is a single beam saber. Now we do get 2 really nice clear beam saber blades with it, one shorter one and one longer one. And it does also fit really well into the hands, but according to the manual, there's no place to store the beam saber. And this struck me as a bit weird, so I went to look at the manual of the really old Zssa model kit, and it turns out the beam sabers, of which there are supposed to be 4, by the way, actually store inside of the legs. And then when I opened this thing up, I was pretty surprised to find that it actually has storage racks for the beam sabers, and the single beam saber does fit in there. So I'm kind of annoyed that this thing only comes with 1 of the 4 beam sabers that it should come with. And just in case you're wondering, yes, it still closes up perfectly fine, even with the beam saber inside of there. And then the final accessory that we're getting is this really nice looking Gira Doga shield. The top part does move, and when we look at it from the other side, you do have 4 storage spaces for Sturmfausts, or you could also put the beam saber in there if you wanted to, and then finally it will rotate around, and this actually mounts onto the arm from the front, And I don't think I've ever seen this on any model kit, and there is a really good reason why the brace goes onto the back and not the front. These arms don't have great articulation to begin with. They go up 90 degrees on a single joint, and with the shield attached, that's all you're going to get. But still, I would recommend using it because it does look really nice with that shield. And before we move on to the rest of the articulation, let's have a look at the transformation of this thing. You simply remove the booster pod, slide these things up, and there you go. It's transformed. It does have a hole here for an action-based connector, and for some reason, these flaps also move in and out, just as these flaps here for some reason go up and down. I'm not sure why, but it is nice that they do. And with the booster pod detached from your Zssa, it now becomes an independent attacking unit. So now let's really quickly tackle the articulation of this thing. The head doesn't move at all. The mono eye, because it is a sticker, also doesn't move. The shoulders then are on a ball joint and hinge combo, so they do go forwards rather nicely and will pop out extremely easily, so be careful with that. We'll of course rotate around all the way, go up only about that far, even with the help of the ball joint. Then they'll rotate around above the elbow, bent at the elbow on a single joint for 90 degrees, as I said before. Then the hands, arm ball joints will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. Then the waist is on a single ball joint. You get a bit of forwards and backwards movement, some rotation, but not quite as much as you'd expect, because this backpack, quote unquote, does get in the way quite a bit. What also gets in the way are those thick thighs. They go forwards really nicely, backwards also quite nicely, but it's especially the outwards movement that is really hindered, and so is the rotation. But then what is pretty surprising is the knee joint. First of all, I really appreciate kind of the armor separation gimmick, and for how thick everything is, that's not quite as bad as I was expecting. Then the feet are on a ball joint and hinge combo, but forwards a little bit, backwards a little bit, side to side a little bit, and rotate around a little bit. So overall, as you expected, articulation isn't the Zssa's strong point. But what I always say is, articulation is only relevant to the role of the mobile suit. This isn't a close quarters mobile suit, even though it does have 4 beam sabers. It's an artillery support unit, and it's a pretty bulky one at that. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And to answer that, I'll describe this kit in one word: meh. It does do its job, but that is all. Everything about this kit is average at best, and there's no cool gimmicks like removable missiles to make up for that. And at a retail price of 2,400 yen, that makes it quite difficult to recommend for anyone who isn't already a fan of the Zssa. Despite its arsenal of missiles, this kit won't blow you away. But if you want a model kit of the Zssa, it's there. Still, you might want to consider some of these instead. First up, here it is next to some other Neo Zeon machines, the 2,200 yen Dovin Wolf and the 2,000 yen Dryson, both of which are better models and a better value. And just as the Zssa, they're quite unique looking machines too, especially the Dovin Wolf. Then for some machines that you might want to blast away with your Zssa, the Gym 3 and the J-Gun. And then finally, here it is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. So that's all for this review of this kinda underwhelming model kit. And as always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope all of you watching have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.